Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 5 of X-Men Red, which is part 3 of the Judgment Day event, written by Al Ewing. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. So with that said, this is hands down one of my favorite comics of 2022, just based on the mayhem alone. For this issue really contextualized just how powerful Uranos truly is, because back in Judgment Day issue 1, we saw a small peek of his power, but in this issue, we get kind of a deep dive into the chaos itself. Now, with that down and out of the way, we pick up with the Great Ring 1 minute before Death himself rains down destruction on the world of Arakko. And when we get there we see Abigail Brand addressing the Great Ring about an impending war with the Eternals that in her words could start as early as today. But little did she know, she was more right than she was aware of, because in the corner of the panel is a countdown for Uranos' arrival. So with the time ticking down, she discloses how Krakoa Precog foresaw the threat coming their way, and just to prove it, she invites the A.X.E counterpart to verify the information if need be. But one thing you have to understand about Idol is that as an Omega Seer, Idol can see the true future, but what he cannot do is alter it. And because of that, some time ago Tarn wanted him to help him do just that, which unfortunately he was unable to do. So as a consequence for his inability to do so, Tarn ended up stealing his tongue. So with Idol no longer being able to speak, they are now forced to only interpret his silence. So with that said, Aura Serrata did just that, saying, "An empty heart beats hardest, an empty hand deals an impossible blow." And the stalemate ends in victory-loss. Now, with the realization of the outcome ending in a stalemate, A.X.E the Unbeaten points out that all stalemates is usually decided by Storm, who just so happens to currently be on Krakoa acting as the voice of the Great Ring. So with Storm gone, the person who takes charge is the Table of Dawn, the War Council. So with the decision made, Cable takes center stage and starts to lay out their plan for attack. For he rightfully assumes the Eternals will attack Krakoa with a psychic attack, which means Arakko will be hit by an overwhelming physical force. So as the clock hits 0, a bright blue light radiates through the council room, for death is on its way. So as everyone is preparing for the incoming attack, Eric shouts to A.X.E to be ready with her power, for they will need her to act first against their enemy in order for them to win. But to everyone's surprise, A.X.E already made her move, for she severed Idol's head from his body. Because her power requires her to always win, even if it means turning against her allies. So with A.X.E choosing a side, their fate was basically sealed if she remained in the battle. So in a split decision, Nightcrawler volunteered to take her off the board by teleporting behind her and taking her away, in order to give the Great Ring a fighting chance. So like a meteor hitting the ground, the concussive force of Uranos' arrival sent the council members flying away. And out of the smoke emerged a cold voice saying, "Mutants of Mars, I am Uranos the Undying, and you have deviated excessively. And because of that deviation, he has 1 hour to correct it." And let's just say he wasted no time at all, for within the first 30 seconds, he deployed his world-ending arsenal and eradicated 11,553 mutants. And with 59 minutes remaining, there is no telling what he could have done if he really wanted to, for out of portals all over Arakko, machines of war rained down destruction upon the populace. With key targets being taken out, the Iraqis attempted to fight back, but as you can see, there was no success. So with the devastation spreading throughout the land, we skip over to Nightcrawler and A.X.E materializing over the ocean west of Arakko Prime, which in my opinion was the move that saved the day. So anyway, Uranos' weapons spared no one, for even the pilgrims at their sacred areas were eliminated as well as their orbiting station far above the planet. But one thing you have to understand about these hardened people is that they are willing to fight to the last man, which was exactly what they attempted to do. For in the Great Ring, we see Aura Serrata bombarding Uranos with his mutant ability to erase people from existence. But unfortunately, the eye of the law proved fruitless to stop the Undying Titan. For Uranos states, there is no law that surpasses the principles coded into himself. So with Abigail Brand and Cable shooting away at the bringer of death, Uranos just summons a left hook from his vast arsenal and knocks Aura completely out as he turns to face his new challenger. For out of the sky above descended one of the most powerfulest mutants in existence, Legion. And with a look in his eyes that encompasses pure power and determination, Charles's son only utters one word. which was outside. So with a worthy challenge before him, Uranos takes him up on his offer and accompanies Legion through the clouds, for this battle between these two godly beings will be played out in a future issue. But for the time being, we will just cover what's in this chapter. So in 28 seconds flat, Uranos returns back to the council ready to continue to deal out his holy duty. So with Magneto never being the one to back down from a fight, he shouts out to Lotus to form a mutant circuit with him, which is a big deal for the people of Arakko, because Arakis pride themselves in fighting alone, based on their own power. So with Lotus even doing this with A.X.E shows development within their people. So just like that, the Omega-level mutant supplies an endless amount of metal to the Lord of Magnetism. So as the assault of metal pushes back Uranos, we hop around the planet to see how their champions are holding out. For like I stated before, the Brotherhood of Mutants was hard at work trying to sway the tide of death, as even Nova lends a hand in the war effort to stop the Eternals. And as for our old friend, A.X.E the Unbeaten, she managed to fight off Nightcrawler as she fell into the Sabuna's Ocean, where she is met by a creature of the deep. So once we hit 13 minutes into the invasion, we see the members of the Great Ring trying their hardest to push Uranos back, to the point where the Undying actually gives them a compliment. Following that, a heavily exerted but determined Magneto tells the Agent of Death that he is everything he has ever fought against, which only brought joy to the Twisted Eternal, and with a smile on his face, he states that this must be personal in some way. So with the kitty gloves coming off, Uranos burst out of his restraints and continued to say, "My condolences." And on the very next page, we see Uranos driving his hand clear through the chest of Magneto, and ripping out his heart as the Lord of Magnetism and one of the founding fathers of Krakoa falls to the ground below. So with A.X.E out of this fight, Cable shouts that they will have to mourn him later as they still have a job to attend to. So with all else failing, Cable materializes his most powerful weapon at his disposal, the Omega-1 Pulse Rifle, which can fire a bullet of ultra-dense solid light along a tunnel of hard radiation that can melt osmium. So because of its ability to kill, the weapon was banned in the year 3877 from warfare. But when he blasted Uranos with it at point-blank range for 3.5 minutes, the Undying only smiled and proceeded to sear off Cable's face to the bone. So with yet another hero down, Xylo unleashes the insects and invertebrates that form him to attack Uranos. Now on a side note, this attack can scour a human down to the bone in seconds, but all it manages to do is disgust the Titan as he uses his heat beams to reduce Xylo down to just 13% of what he used to be. And as for Abigail Brand, she tried to escape to avoid the resurrection protocols, but ultimately she failed. So with the council destroyed, we see the Fisher King seating in the dark side of the planet and utters some ominous words, saying the wind has changed and it is time for the night to fall. So with 40 minutes on the clock, the Great Ring fell silent as Uranos stood and oversaw his work. And as for the time he had left, he created the gigantic X of Bones scene in the first issue of Judgment Day. For after this slaughter, 98% of all life within a 50-mile radius was gone, as his 60 minutes hit zero. So as the machine reached out to claim its prisoner, Uranos leaves satisfied, because he is supremely confident in his ability to bring death. Because in all the ages he has lived, he never felt the need to check his work. And because of that, he was foolish. For some members of the Great Ring remained because Xylo hid Lotus underground to avoid certain death. But see, they weren't the only two to survive, because A, Aura managed to withstand the attack, and more importantly B, Magneto emerged from the bones of the fallen to take command. Because, when Lotus suggested using strategies, Magneto interrupted him and stated, "Strategies are not a matter for the Table of Dusk. For this war is a war we are losing, and so the Seat of Loss takes command." So with that said, issue number 5 of X-Men Red and part 3 of the Judgment Day event comes to an end. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.